Hello, fifth graders. Today's lesson 6-5, dividing a decimal by a decimal. So we're going to use what we know about multiplication, division, place value, and partial quotients to divide here. In your notebooks, I want you to write 4 and 55 hundredths divided by 35 hundredths. Okay, so first we want to use place value. Let's talk about place value. Let's look at the last place value place in this number. So if we wanted to say 455 what? We have 455 what? Well, we have to look at the place value of this last 5. What place value is this last 5 in? I want everybody to think about your answer, and if you said hundredths, you are correct. So everyone write down hundredths with the THS. So you have 455 hundredths. Over here, how many hundredths total do we have? Well, we read the whole number, and then we say hundredths in the hundredths place. So over here we have 35 hundredths. Now, we talked earlier about, if you remember when we were dealing with multiplication, we talked about, okay, well, what's 10 times 10? Or 10 divided by 10 equals 1. Well, and then we learned that we could cancel out those zeros. So the same thing's happening here. Because this is hundredths and because this is hundredths, we can cancel them out and just deal with 455 divided by 35. So try to beat me in your notebook here if you can beat me. Ready, set, go. Did you beat me? All right, so 13 is our final answer, and that's it. So what happens, though, when there's not a digit in the hundredths place and not a digit in the hundredths place? Well, let's take a look. Let's try now if we did 45 and 5/10 divided by 3. Oh, we'll stick with that, 35 hundredths. Okay, so now we don't have 455 hundredths, we have 455 what? What place value is that? We have 455 tenths divided by 35 hundredths. So the question now becomes, can we cancel these out? And we cannot cancel them out. So I'm going to show you what we do here. We're going to write 45.5 divided by 0.35. So we're going to take the 0.35, whatever number's on the outside of the division house, and we need to make this number into a whole number. So how do we do that? We got to move the decimal place. So we have to keep moving this over until 35 becomes 35 ones. So we're going to go once, and we're going to go twice. Now, how many every times we go move the decimal on the outside? We're going to move the decimal that same amount on the inside. 1, 2. We're going to fill in any empty egg cartons with zeros. And then from our last lesson, we're going to take the decimal and we're going to take it up the elevator. And now we are done with the decimal. And now we can do our normal division of 4,550 divided by 35. So once we do 35 goes into 45 once, we subtract, we get 10, we bring down the 5, 35 goes into 105 3 times, which is 105, we subtract, we get 0. Don't forget about this next digit here, this extra 0 that we put in the egg carton. We have to keep going until we're out of digits here. Plus we have this gap between the decimal point and the 3 that we need to fill in. So how many times does 35 go into 0? 0 times, so a 0 would go up here. So the answer is not 13, but it's 130. So let's try a little word problem now. All right, in our school cafeteria, they're gonna set up some booths for a science fair coming up. Each row of booths is 31 and 5/10 feet long. Each booth is 3.5 feet wide. How many booths are in each row? So each booth would be 3.5 feet. So there's a booth that's 3.5, there's a booth, and this just keeps going until it makes a total of 31.5 feet. So the first thing we always want to do is do a quick estimation, right? So 31.5, we want to think of that as 32, and 3.5, we want to think of that as 4. So how many times does 4 go into 32? Well, I know that 4 times 5 is 20, 4 times 6 is 24, 4 times 7 is 28, and 4 times 8 is actually 32. So I know that I'm looking for an answer around 8. Let's see what we get if we think about our place value. So 31.5 is the same as 315 tenths, and 3.5 is the same as 35 tenths. So I know our tenths can cancel each other out, and now we have 315 divided by 35. 35 doesn't go into 3. 35 doesn't go into 31, but 35 does go into 315. So let's do guess and check. Let's try 35 times 3, and we get 105. Well, we got a lot further to go than that. So let's try 35 times 8. 35 times 8, 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 4 is 828. Okay, let's try one more. We'll go 35 times 9, 45. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 4 is 31. There it is, 9. So we need 9 booths to get 31.5 feet long. Now, let's take a look at this without using this place value strategy and by using our moving the decimal point strategy. So 31.5 and 3.5. So here we go, 31 and 5/10 and 3 and 5/10. So if you remember, our other strategy, if you don't like the place value strategy, is to take the decimal point and move it over until you get a whole number on the outside. So that time it just took us 1 spot. So we want to do 1 spot on the inside, right there. Now on the inside, sometimes it might not always give us a whole number. Like if we had, maybe this is 31.54, the decimal's still going to stop here. Okay, once the decimal stops, we throw it on the elevator and bring it up, and now we're good to go. So 35 goes into 315 9 times. And finally, if we wanted to check our answer, we're going to take and do a multiplication problem. So let's try 3 and 5/10 times 9 to see what we get. Remember, when we're multiplying decimals, we locate the decimal. We count how many decimal places are behind. That's 1 decimal spot. So our answer, the decimal is going to move that direction 1 time. 9 times 5 is 45. Put the 5, carry the 4. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 4 is 31. And we're going to move the decimal point starting out here 1 time. And we get 31.5, which should look like that.